this point, I really am an expert on all things farming, so despite never actually setting foot in a farm, I am more than qualified to be telling you everything about farming. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Payton. It is nice to meet you, it is nice to see you, and welcome to the corner. Let's just cut to the chase. You, my friend, want a farm, and maybe you're like me, and you can't have a farm in real life. So you live vicariously through cozy farming sim games, because that's your only option to live your cute little ranch lifestyle. And I know what you're thinking, oh my god, Payton, there are way too many farming sim games. How the heck am I gonna choose which ones to buy? I'm not a millionaire, you know? Well, in today's video, we are going to be answering the question of what really is the best farming sim game. And we're going to be finding this out in the most intricate, challenging, puzzling, absolutely life-changing way to rank things. That, of course, being the style of ranking that is in TLC's 4 Weddings. In case you're unfamiliar with this gem of a TV show, 4 Weddings is a show where 4 different people who are getting married visit each other's weddings and score them based off of a variety of categories to figure out who overall had the best wedding, and then the winner gets to go on like a super fancy honeymoon. Now, unfortunately, none of these games are going on a super fancy honeymoon, but they do get some bragging rights, and I think that's better than like a trip to some gorgeous island, I think. And so in today's video, we'll be putting 4 farming sim games head to head to figure out which one really is the best farming sim game based off of the categories I've chosen. But before we get into it, please be sure to click the lovely little like button as well as subscribe for more cozy, chaotic content like this. Okay, I'll shut up. Let's get into it. So obviously there are way more than 4 farming sim games, but staying true to the style of the show, we are doing 4 in this video, and of course we could always do 4 more in the future. But going head to head today to figure out which is the best farming sim, we have Stardew Valley, Coral Island, Ooblets, and Disney Dreamlight Valley. Right off the bat, we are ranking what is the best farming sim. We are not ranking what is the best game. In fact, some of these games I like more than others, but are they really the best at farming? Are they really the best representation of what a cozy farming sim can and should be? That's what we're aiming to figure out. And before we get into it, let me also just say, these are my opinions. These are some hot takes. You can disagree with me, and that's totally fine. There will be 6 different categories that the games will compete in. In each category, I will rank which game was 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and which was 1st. Each one of those placements will determine the number of points that the game gets. So for last place, you get 0 points. For 3rd place, you get 3 points. For 2nd place, you get 6 points. And for 1st place, you of course get 10 points. Making it possible to get an overall 60 points if one game gets 10s, 10s, 10s across the board. Okay, so starting out with the farming category, one of the most important categories. For me, what was really important about this was how much farming has to do with the actual game. Many of these games are not strictly farming games. Many of them will call themselves adventure and life sim games with farming elements. And again, we're not judging a game based off of how amazing it is today. We're judging it based off of how amazing the farming sim parts are today. So for 4th place, I picked a game where while I think the farming components are really helpful and perhaps the most easy and proficient to use, I don't think the farming is as important as a part of the game as some of the others. So in 4th, I did put Disney Dreamlight Valley. I will note that what's so great about farming in this game is it's super easy and super quick. So you can plant in bulk, you can harvest in bulk, and the crops are done super, super quick, which is great if you are more focused on the other parts of the game. However, in judging it as a farming sim game, the actual farming doesn't really take that long. As well as in Disney Dreamlight Valley, you're not actually really on a farm. You can make your house kind of be farm-esque if you'd like, but more often than not, you can kind of plant things all around the valley and make it more kind of like garden-esque. There's also not an opportunity to have farm animals in the game. You can have little other critter sidekicks like raccoons, but there's no cows running around your farm. So because of that, it gets last on the actual farming components for me. Going in 3rd place is a game that I think takes the cake for what the farming looks like. The visuals of the crops are my favorite on this game, but I just think the farming is a little simple compared to some of the others on the list, and of course, I'm talking about Ooblets. I absolutely love the different types of crops you can have in Ooblets. What I love about Ooblets farming is there are so many different crops you can have. There are different seeds depending on which place in the Ooblets universe you go to. And because of that, you can start making some really cool and specialty stuff. Ooblets will also give you the opportunity to make your products into other things, so there is like making things into certain flours and juices, so there is some optimization for selling things in that way, as well as the Ooblets are the farmers, so while there are no barn animals like cows or anything running around your farm, you do have your Ooblets as the actual farmers, which I think is super cute and exciting, and the farm is a really big focus in the game because you need to plant the Ooblet seeds to get the Ooblets. I really like the farming in the game, I just think it's not as complex as some of the others. In second place, and I'm sorry, this is a hot take, in second place is Stardew Valley. Obviously, Stardew Valley is the blueprint for so many farming sim games. What I love about Stardew compared to the other two I've just mentioned is the component of the different seasons and crops going in and out of season. It makes farming a bit more complex. The crops take a little bit longer, so it feels a little bit more rewarding when things finally harvest. And there is the factor of some crops being of better quality than others, and of course, you get the little star when it's a better crop, and you may need those to unlock certain things in the storyline, or they also just sell for more money. Stardew also gives you quite a bit of options as far as machines to optimize selling your produce, as well as you can have farm animals that are super, super cute, and your farm is very, very large, so you can do quite a bit of farming. Stardew just has a more complex farming system. So much of the game is the farm, so of course it is number 2 on this list. And so of course number 1 is Coral Island. And for me, Coral Island just edges Stardew out. They're so similar, I think, in terms of farming. Everything I just said pretty much about farming is true about Coral Island, but I think there is more you can do. But in Coral Island, your farm is so ginormous. You can plant so many different crops, and what I think beat it out for Stardew for me is because you can control the time in Coral Island, you can decide whether or not you want farming to be a bigger or smaller part of the game. For me, I've been playing on the slowest speed so that I can maximize making so many things. I am always making jams, making yogurt, making wine, doing so many things with all of the produce I've planted because I have the time. I just really like how the farming looks and feels better as well. Moving on to the next category, we're gonna be talking about the characters in the game. Now, coming in at last place, while I think the characters are so unique and so adorable, to be honest, there's just not much to them. And in fourth place, I'm talking about Ooblets. Now, I'm talking about the actual human characters. I'm not talking about the Ooblets, of course. I'm not considering the Ooblets characters. I'm talking about the actual humans that you interact with around town. They just feel a little bit empty. While they are super cute, you cannot really get to know them. You can befriend them by getting friendship stickers with them, but the dialogue only goes so far, and you can't really build stronger, unique connections with them, as well as nobody seems to have like a big backstory or anything. They're definitely cute, but they're just definitely not that deep of characters. Moving on to third place, the characters in this game are very unique and very memorable. That is, of course, Disney Dreamlight Valley. Disney Dreamlight Valley is third for me because I think compared to Ooblets, the characters do have backstory and things to say. They of course feel true to who they are in their respective Disney movies. However, you can't romance the characters. I don't know that we want to romance like Donald Duck, but because you can't romance the characters or really get like a super intense bond, it does rank lower to me than Stardew and Coral Island. However, I think that the characters are great. I wish that we got to see a little bit more from them and that everything wasn't just so like stereotypical whatever their character is, but I do think they are exciting, and I think that it's great how many different characters there are and how many characters they're going to incorporate in the game. Okay, this might be shocking, but number 2 is Coral Island. Now, I know what you're thinking. Payton, you love the Coral Island characters so much. I do. In fact, the characters are my favorite part of Coral Island. There are so many of them. They're ridiculously hot, but the reason why the Coral Island characters aren't number 1 for me yet is because we don't get so many dramatic cutscenes with the characters as we get to know them better. I think each character in Coral Island is unique, diverse, and has a lot to say, but because we're in early access, we haven't gotten the ability to romance the characters, you know, marry them, have a family, all that stuff, as well as to have different cutscenes where we get to know them a little bit better. I do think that once the 1.0 version of Coral Island comes out, my opinion is going to change, but for now, Coral Island takes second, which of course means my favorite characters are in Stardew Valley. What's so great about Stardew is the more you get into the game and the more you talk to characters and gift them things, you get to know them better. And you start to get cutscenes that tell you a lot more about who the character is beyond what they show just walking around town. Because of this, Stardew makes it so you can play this game and play the main storyline through many times, depending on who you want to romance. I think it's super exciting. I really like the characters. They feel different. I like that you could romance and get to know them on a really deep level. The next category is customization. How good can we really make this farm look? Coming in at 4th place, this game is still my favorite animation style out of all of these games. However, I do think it is the most limiting in what you can do with your space. This is, of course, Ooblets. I think Ooblets is really great for customizing your interior. There are a lot of really cute items, but as far as customizing your actual farm, there isn't a whole heck of a lot you can do. You really can just put coops, sprinklers, and wooden tiles around to kind of make the farm look a little bit more cohesive, but you don't really have a decorative element of, you know, making different pathways or planting trees or planting bushes or things of that nature, no fences or anything like that. I think that Ooblets isn't so much about the customization, but if we're comparing it to the others, it is definitely lacking in what you can personalize in the game. And in 3rd place, we're gonna talk about the main game. We're not gonna talk about any mods that you can use for this, just only because I'm basing off of the main game and not what other people have created from it. We're talking about Stardew Valley. I think the customization is Stardew is cute, it's fine. It's not my absolute favorite compared to some of the others, but as far as the actual farm goes, while it is super big and you can plant things wherever the heck you want, you can put your buildings wherever the heck you want, it just doesn't feel like there is a lot of like furniture you can place, or doesn't feel like as many design specific options compared to the other two that are left. In 2nd place, we have Coral Island. Now, I love the customization in Coral Island. The furniture options they have already come out with, and this is still early access, is ginormous, amazing. You can really do so many different styles with your farm. Inside and outside, you can do different furniture. You can really transform this space and make it into something completely different while still having it be a functioning farm. Overall, I don't have anything to complain about the decorating in this game. The only reason it comes second to Disney Dreamlight Valley being in 1st is because you're just decorating your farm. In Disney Dreamlight Valley, you have the whole valley to decorate. You want to make your space into like a farmy garden type thing, you can, but then you also have the option to kind of create your whole town. Now, personally, I struggled with the actual mechanics of customizing things in Disney Dreamlight Valley when I played it, but I will note that the options they have for the furniture are insane, as well as the different buildings that each of the characters live in are unique and really gorgeous. So I think that this game does give you a little bit more customization freedom to make things really unique compared to some of the other games on the list. The next category is my favorite category. It is fishing. I don't know why I love fishing so much in games, but I do. I don't like fishing in real life, but fishing to me really tells me if I like a game or not. My personal style of fishing is it's gotta be difficult, but not so difficult that I want to rage quit, and it needs to feel like rewarding, like we need to feel like there's a reason we're doing this. Coming in last is gonna be Ooblets. I really don't like the fishing in this game. In Ooblets, the way you fish is you collect different cans and resources to put in a reconstitutor, which basically recycles and makes you fish bait. Once you have the fish bait, all you have to do is click A. You don't get to reel in the fish, you don't get to control what you catch, and you don't ever catch fish. You only catch resources. There are no fish, I want there to be fish. It's a little too easy, as well as reconstituting takes a long time. So while I love Ooblets, the fishing is not my favorite part of the game. 3rd place, we have Disney Dreamlight Valley. I really like the fishing in this one. I think it's different. I like in a game where it kind of hints to you where fish are. I like when it shows you the little bubbles, and I like the element of it being circles that you need to click. I've never seen that in another game, so fishing in this one is fun. I like that there are different types of fish depending on where you are, but it's really not that difficult. Once you kind of realize what you need to do, it's pretty easy to catch fish, in my opinion. I don't think it gets any more challenging, so while it's fun, it is lower on the list just because I want it to be a little bit trickier. But talk about being tricky, the next one is going to be Stardew Valley. I think Stardew Valley fishing can be very tricky. I really like it personally. I think that makes it more fun, but it does have a little bit of a learning curve, I feel. There are a lot of different fish depending on where you go. The fish sell for a lot, as well as you need the fish for different storyline things. Honestly, there's not that big a difference between the Stardew fishing and the Coral Island fishing, but I picked Coral Island as number 1 just because I like the idea of it better. I like the idea, first of all, it's horizontal rather than vertical, which I just think is, for my eyes, I like better. I like the idea of we're trying to keep the line from breaking, so it's very challenging, but as you get more experience and as you upgrade your fishing rod, and you can catch sharks, which is really, really difficult, but really rewarding once you catch them. I also just like how the fish look better in this game, and you can really just fish anywhere. You don't need to wait for like bubbles to show up or anything. You could just whip out the fishing rod and see what happens. I like the fishing in this one the best. The next category is the overall storyline. While many of you may just like the farming sims for the actual farming part, I really am a sucker for the storyline and how did we get here? Why did we get here? What's going on? Why do we care about playing the game other than because of the cute stuff? I really like the storyline of all of these games, but in last place, I am gonna give it to my fave, Ooblets again. I think that Ooblets has a really cute storyline. Pretty much in Ooblets, you're just moving to a new town. There's a rundown farm. The mayor is like, hey, you can have this building, this little farm building, if you help me with stuff around town. And then from there, the main quest is just really going to these different parts of the Ooblets world and turning on these Ooblet towers to be able to connect with each other again, have all the towns connect, build up the current town to help learn and preserve the life of the Ooblets. It is super cute, but it's really not that deep, so while I do like it, and this is one of my favorite games, I just don't think the storyline is as deep as the others, so that's why it's in 4th. In 3rd place, we have Stardew Valley, which for me, I really like the storyline, but it is kind of the classic farm sim storyline. You have inherited a farm from your elderly relative, and now it's your job to move to this town and take over the farm, as well as you're trying to convince the town to stay local and support local business rather than following a huge corporation. While I like the characters the most in this game, the actual point in the storyline doesn't feel so severe to me. I feel like you can kind of ignore it a little bit. Like, I feel like I went into the Joja market like once or twice and then I just never dealt with it again. I like the storyline, I just don't think it's as prevalent as some of the others, so that's why I decided to give it 3rd place. Now, in 2nd place, I think that the storyline of this game is probably the best part of the game, but I decided I didn't like it as much as I liked 1st place. But in 2nd place, we have Disney Dreamlight Valley. Disney Dreamlight Valley sees you trying to restore the valley from this terrible curse where different Disney characters have fled and have forgotten all of their memories. So you're trying to clear the valley of these mysterious magical thorns that have come up everywhere, all while trying to bring the different characters back to the valley. It's a really nice concept. I do really enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with the concept. I just like number 1, Coral Island. Similarly to Stardew, you inherit a farm and you're trying to help build up a town's overall image, trying to help the local shops and all that nonsense, but in this one, the reason you're doing it is because of a massive oil spill, and a giant drilling company has come in trying to take over. It feels so important because there is a whole merfolk kingdom in the ocean that is pretty much being destroyed, and you need to save it. Coral Island's diving feature is one of the best parts of the game, so having that big reason why you're diving and trying to clear out the ocean just makes it a little bit more exciting and satisfying for me, but that's not to say that there's anything wrong with any of these storylines. Final category is uniqueness. So all of the classic farming sim stuff aside, what does this have that the others don't? In 4th place, honestly, I think that this game is really unique because it set the blueprint for so many other games. This one is older than the other games on this list, but in 4th place we have Stardew Valley. I think it is unique in so many different ways, but overall to me it feels like most farming sim games feel. You can say that this was the OG, this was the blueprint, and I totally respect that and totally get that, but I think the others on this list are a little bit more unique. Now this might be shocking to you, but in 3rd place is Coral Island. Coral Island, frankly, is my favorite game on the list, but I think that Coral Island really does take a lot of things that are in Stardew and other classic farming sim games, and they do add to it. Like, the addition of the diving is so crazy and so amazing, the manipulation of time being different, as well as the magical feature overall, makes it feel really, really different. I think compared to the other two on the list, they have some factors in a farming sim game that I've never seen before, so I think Coral Island stays true to the traditional, adds and innovates so much stuff, but the other two left on the list have a bunch of things that I don't think I've ever seen in a farming sim before. Number 2 is going to be Disney Dreamlight Valley. I think what's cool about this one is there are so many different characters. I like the mechanic of having to go and rescue characters. I feel like that feels really unique to a farming sim game. It takes you off the farm a bit and helps you kind of venture out into the world a little more, which I like. You can say that's more of an adventure game, and that's totally a fair thing to say. I just really enjoy that aspect of it, as well as I think that the world of that game is probably the biggest one on this list. I think that the amount of items, the amount of characters, the amount of just like things to do could end up being infinite based off of how large Disney's catalog is. And while I think this is super unique, Ooblets takes the number 1 spot for me as being the most unique farming sim game. I've never farmed for cute little monster babies. I don't know if you have. It feels unique, but still farming. To be honest, Disney Dreamlight Valley doesn't feel so much of a farming sim to me. It feels more life sim adventure-y. Ooblets feels like a farming sim game, but without extra stuff. I like that you get to grow the ooblets. I like that you get to dance battle for the ooblets. I like that you get to travel to different places to meet different characters and get and grow different ooblets and other resources. For me, Ooblets is definitely a farming sim flipped on its head with a different twist, and that is why it's number 1. So yeah, that was the ranking of each category. Now let's see where these games stacked up in their overall results. In 4th place, we have Ooblets. Despite of everything I just said, I just think the farming in Ooblets is a little bit more simple compared to the other games, but Ooblets has a lot going on outside of the farming sim stuff, so I think it's totally fine. It's one of my favorite games. I just don't know if it's called the best farming game. Now we actually have a tie for 2nd and 3rd place. I'll tell you which ones they are, but I'll tell you which one I think is better, just to be honest. But I didn't want to change my ranking. I felt like my ranking for each category was pretty fair and made sense to me. But Stardew and Disney Dreamlight Valley tied for 2nd and 3rd. I do think Stardew is the better farming sim game. That's not me saying it's a better game than Disney Dreamlight Valley, but it's a better farming sim game. It's more about the farm, where Disney is a great farming sim game. If you don't really want to farm that much, you just want like a taste of the farm, but then you want to like go out on adventures and then customize. You can decide for yourself which one you think goes in which order. And true to my actual opinion, number 1 is Coral Island. I think this game is the best farming sim game, specifically out of these 4, but it's also my favorite one overall, because it is about the farm. It feels like it's about the farm, your farm is important, but the world is very big. It's not too big where it starts to feel like a giant adventure game instead of a farming game. It feels important. It feels like the characters in town are necessary and they help you out on your journey. There are so many ways to customize your farm to make it unique. There are so many ways to optimize your farm to make it successful. There are a lot of things to do, as well as the storyline is still my favorite. The addition of diving makes it super unique. I think overall, Coral Island does fit the bill as being the best farming sim game, but you guys can let me know down below what your thoughts are. more. And there you guys have it. That was my 4 wedding style, 4 farming sim ranking. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see more of this, let me know some other farming sim games you want me to put head to head down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please consider liking on your way out, as well as subscribe. I do post a lot of cozy, chaotic content, and we would love to have you over here in the corner. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.